Now, if you know me, you know I generally despise the concept of viral recipes. But the most recent one has unlocked a core memory of mine, something I've tried to recreate for 20 years. And that is the Turkish kebabs I survived off of 20 years ago in Florence, of all places. Particularly one across the street from my apartment called Yummy Yummy. Beef and lamb cooked on a vertical spit, sliced thin, topped with hot sauce, white sauce, and French fries. Wrapped in a flatbread, almost like a burrito, it's one of my favorite things to eat, even in Florence with all the amazing food they have. And this viral technique to making it at home quite easily is the secret to bringing it into my home kitchen whenever I want. This is how to make a Turkish kebab from Florence. Now, one of the things I loved about it, it wasn't in a pita, it wasn't in bread, it was wrapped in this flatbread sort of thing, a lavash bread. Kind of like a blend between a pita and a tortilla. It's a simple bread, very easy to make. Starts with 500 grams of all-purpose flour in a bowl. I've got some instant yeast. I just need a teaspoon of that. Teaspoon of sugar, teaspoon of salt. Then I'm gonna add in 300 milliliters of warm, around 100-degree water, or it's about a cup and a half of water. Then I'm just gonna use a spatula and just sort of push it around, right? I want that water and the flour to sort of shake hands. Try and get all that flour coated in the moisture and hydrated. Once it starts to sort of look like a dough, it may look dry to you, but it's not. It's just that flour hasn't fully hydrated yet. I'm just gonna hit it with a little oil, tablespoon or two, and I'm gonna use my hands. And more so like my knuckles, and I'm just gonna start folding it in fast movements so that it doesn't stick to my hand. Now, some people might put milk in this. I don't really hold milk that often, so water's fine. A little bit more oil. Now, back when I was a youngin' living in Florence, this was before my culinary enlightening, and while I did love all the food of Florence, this was the thing I ate every day. It was like €3-4, came with French fries, delicious flavor, nice staff, right across from my apartment. And I didn't like the hot sauce, so every time my mom sent supplies, I made her smuggle in Frank's Red Hot. It's the American in me. That place is not closed now, but if you do go to Florence, you still can get them. There's one particular called Istanbul Kebab. It's across the street from a bar called Kikuya, which was my old stomping ground. So we're just gonna knead this for like 5 minutes. All that flour is absorbed. I'm just gonna fold it onto itself. Create a ball, wrap it in a little bit of oil. And the oil just kind of helps smooth it out, right? Then we're gonna cover this. Let this double in size in a nice warm place. Now onto the kebab itself. Now we're merely taking the technique on cooking the kebab and treating it, but we're not seasoning it anyway. We've already made gyro on this channel on a spit on the barbecue in the summer. Very fun recipe, incredible. Go check it out. We're gonna take that base and then just apply more Turkish spices to it. But the meats we're gonna use, lamb and beef, and the percentage of salt we're adding to it are gonna remain the same. First thing I wanna do is just measure out my meat. We wanna know exactly how much we're going to add so we know how much salt to add. So I've got a little less than a pound of ground beef and about a half a pound of ground lamb. So it's 1 pound, 12 ounces, or 800 grams. So then I'll just go to my little assistant. What is 2% of 800 grams?
That would be 16 grams.
16 grams, we're adding 16 grams of salt. So that's about as far as precision we need. So we're gonna set that off to the side. Now I've got 1 large onion. If it's small, you might need 2. But what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna cut the top off. I'm not gonna split it in half, I'm gonna split it almost into 2/3. And I'm just gonna cut a little piece off for garnish. And so we'll set this aside and we're just gonna chop it. It's going in the food processor, we just wanna give it a little bit of help. To that, some garlic, 4 or 5 cloves. And let's process that. Clean up the sides, another quick blitz. I want it like minced and almost starting to become a puree, but still a little bit of texture left. Now in with the meat, the salt. We got a bunch of spices. Gonna hit it with some black pepper. Always fresh, get yourself one of these. You're an adult now. Dried oregano, about 2 teaspoons. Again, I just eyeball it. Sumac, it's a really great Middle Eastern spice. It's almost got citrusy notes with spice notes, like a citrusy chili powder in a way. Not exactly, but that's the closest way to describe it. About a tablespoon. 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, 2 teaspoons of onion powder, 2 teaspoons of coriander, 2 teaspoons of cumin, teaspoon or 2 of paprika. And then here's the little secret. We're gonna add ground cinnamon, but we're gonna add the smallest amount. I'm not a big warm spice guy in savory, but I added it just a little bit, maybe like a half of a teaspoon, and it just adds this subtlety in the background. It doesn't take it to like cinnamon land. It just kind of adds a good complementary note. Then we've got some Greek yogurt. Whatever fat percent you can get, whole fat is always the best. I'm just gonna take a spoon, maybe like 1, 2 to 3 tablespoons. We're gonna need this for white sauce. Now back on, and then just let it go. You wanna start to see the meat riding around the blade. See that? That movement? That's when you know you're just about there. It's nice and emulsified. Give it one more spin and we should be there. Now we just want to get it into a bowl. It's not gonna look incredible right now, but like this is the start of like a kebab, a doner. Never stick your hand in here to get this stuff out too. Last year, I cut the shit out of myself. It was actually making the gyro. Now same thing, we're gonna need that to marinate. This can be done in the same day, but if you could start the bread and the meat a day ahead, then this becomes like an actually quick thing to make. Now I turned 40 this year and I had a conversation with myself that I was gonna handle my issues differently from here on out. Take control of them rather than allow them to control me. And it starts with a routine, a way of expressing these problems, and that's where our sponsor today, BetterHelp, comes in. BetterHelp makes starting therapy easier and much less intimidating for many people. And if you're like me, I haven't always had the best experiences with therapy. To be honest, I don't like leaving my home. I don't like sitting in a waiting room, and I don't like when my appointment is always late. BetterHelp can match you to one of over 30,000 therapists in their network based on your needs, preferences, and location, which gives you access to a wider range of expertise that may not be available in your city. To get started, all you have to do is fill out a questionnaire that will ask you questions about what challenges you're going through and what kind of therapists you'd like. And BetterHelp will match you with a therapist in most cases within 48 hours. And you can schedule therapy sessions at any time that's convenient for you. And if you don't love your therapist, you can request a new therapist at no additional charge at any time. So to get 10% off your first month of therapy, head on over to betterhelp.com/notanothercookingshow. Now let's get back into the recipe. Now for the white sauce. Here I've just got maybe a cup of that yogurt left over from the marinade or the spice mix for the meat. I'm gonna go about 1-to-1 with mayo and Greek yogurt. This ratio can be highly customizable. You want it more tangy, a little bit more yogurt, a little bit more creamy, maybe a little bit more mayo. To that, about 2 capfuls of white vinegar. Take a lemon, I'm gonna cut a cheek. I'm gonna hit it with some fresh lemon juice flavor. White vinegar adds twang to the back of the mouth. This still has a twang, but this has a bright, fresh flavor. So using both of them is not like weird. Now we're going to grate in some garlic. I always like grating my garlic into sauces. Touch of garlic powder. A little sugar in the form of granulated sugar, or I have some of agave, so maybe a tablespoon or 2. Salt. Fresh cracked black pepper. And that's kind of like where you're at in sort of a basic white sauce. Depending on the thickness, we might thin it out with some water. It's good as it is. But here I have toasted caraway seeds. I just toasted them in a toaster oven, threw them in the and then we're just gonna grind that up. And this is just something some places add. It adds a nice sort of spicy floral note, almost nuttiness. So I'm just gonna add a little bit to that. The caraway seed does something. Sort of like takes it from like ranch vibes into halal cart white sauce vibes. I think we could thin that out a little bit with some water. Drippy, drippy, but still a little thick. Now, to get it into a squirt bottle like this, it's kind of annoying, so I'm gonna get it into a quart container first. And then we can sort of squeeze the bottle to almost make a funnel. So much easier than doing it any other way. Now our white sauce is made. Into the fridge to sort of let those flavors come together. Now as far as the onions go, that garnish that we spoke about earlier, I'm gonna take my onions and I'm gonna slice it orbitally around the onion, following these lines, really thin. Thinner the better. Get those into a bowl, break them up, and we're gonna sort of try and pickle these a little bit, like quasi-pickle. I hate when they serve these things raw or cut too big. So first we hit it with salt, and this salt's gonna pull out moisture. It's gonna take that stinginess out of it. I'm also gonna take some of that lemon, just gonna hit it a little bit, let that acid sort of cook the onion. Next up, I've just got these sweet cherry tomatoes. What we just wanna do, slice them thin. Toss those into the onion. Then those tomatoes need salt, so we wanna make sure we salt those. And then again, we're gonna take some of that sumac and we're gonna add that in. And then if you want to make it even more bright, you can just sort of pick these parsley leaves. Just sort of like the, individual ones. This is gonna be a nice fresh topping. We're gonna use to top our kebab. We made our white sauce, now we need our red sauce, a spicy sauce. Here I have 4 or 5 red chilies and then 2 chili de arbol. You can kind of control that if you want. The arbol's really gonna bring the spice. The red chilies are gonna just bring a vibrant red color to this. We're gonna need to blend it. So first thing I wanna do is fish out the chilies that are now rehydrated. They've been sitting in simmering water until they've all just softened up. Can add a little bit of that liquid. To that, some lemon juice, about a cheek of lemon, tablespoon of vinegar, a tablespoon or 2 of agave or honey or sugar. Remember, it's spicy, so sugar will balance. Then about a teaspoon of coriander and a teaspoon of cumin, a clove of garlic. I'm just gonna grate it in, make sure it gets nice and incorporated. Salt and some more water. Let's see where we're at there. One thing I forgot to add is a little bit of oil. Tablespoon. Also wanna add a touch more water. I'm just gonna add more water because I wanna thin it out, because one of the important things is we need to cook this down. Fat in the liquid helps emulsify it, brings out that color. It was sort of brick red before, a little bit of oil, now it has an orange hue to it. Now we need to cook this down. The act of cooking it sort of brings out all of the flavors and it sort of mellows out the harshness of the chilies and the raw garlic. So we just wanna bring it up to a light simmer and just simmer it down and reduce it slightly. It is a nice consistency as is. So we just wanna give it some heat, maybe 5-10 minutes, and it should be good to go. Taste, adjust for seasoning. You can smell all of those chilies sort of blooming. It just smells amazing. Now you don't want to over reduce it or make it too thick. That's sort of the consistency you're looking for. And we're gonna just allow this to cool down before we make adjustments. Generally with a chili sauce, a salsa, what you taste now is not really gonna be a good representation of how it tastes. As this cools and settles, the flavors are really gonna bloom out. We're gonna set this off to the side. In the time it takes to prep everything else, you're ready to deal with this guy. Now this will probably roll out evenly into about 80-gram balls. I want my bread a little bit bigger. I'm just gonna cut it in half, bust out the scale. That's 100, so once I get my ball, I'm basically going to start to take the sides and fold them in, pinch it, and then use my hands to sort of round it into a nice ball, the sides of your hand, and you're just trying to close the bottom. Now that was around 100. I think 100 should be good. You can also roll it on there. You're just trying to create tension to seal the bottom. So we're going for roughly 100-gram balls. You can also do 80. 80 will be a little bit bigger than a pita. I wanna go closer to like a tortilla. These kebabs were definitely more on the burrito side. 8 balls you're gonna get out of this. You're almost creating this like smooth exterior that's encapsulating all of the air bubbles inside, almost like a balloon. I'm just gonna take a sheet tray, just rub it all over, and then they're gonna get just a little bit more oil on top. I'm just gonna lightly cover them with some plastic and allow them to rise again. The second coming. Just gonna set them in the back where it's nice and warm. Right now the oven is preheating at 550 degrees, and I've got my pizza steel in the oven preheating on the like lower part of it that allows me space above it to kind of work with the bigger lavash bread. And we're gonna preheat that steel until it clocks in around 500 degrees. 550 is even better. Now back to our meat. So I don't get my board all gunked up. So we're gonna take our parchment, gonna hit it with a little oil and brush that all over. Just a light coating. We're gonna take some of our meat and place it down and just start pressing it out. I'm just spreading it out in an even layer at the bottom first, and then I'm gonna roll it out with a rolling pin. Fold it over, and then I'm gonna start to evenly roll it out. Side to side, back against the curve. And you can kind of go as thin or as thick as you like here. You're just kind of evenly pressing it out. You can see some of it will shoot out the side. That's okay. Then all we're gonna do is just fold it. Flatten it out, fold it. And this now will go on a sheet tray. So now you can just prep a whole bunch of these. Now you do gotta be careful. If you add too much, you are gonna get a lot shooting out the sides. That should be the right amount, almost like a big burger patty, maybe a little bit more. So first I go back, I go out, then I start going up. And that's how I try and keep it nice and contained. It's amazing, because the best part about it is when it's shaved nice and thin, but this already does the work for you. Now I line them all up on a sheet tray, and the heat was up really high to get that stone preheated, but for this, I'm going to drop the heat down to like 450, cook these for like 10 minutes just on one side. While that cooks, our hot sauce is now cooled. See how thick it is? It's got some heat, but it's manageable. I'm gonna add some salt, a little more agave, and only because I imported this when I had it, I'm just gonna add a touch of Frank's Red Hot. That's my touch. I like that a lot. That's what I'm talking about. Hot sauce, white sauce, ready to go. Now, one thing you should be noticing right now is there's a smell, an aroma coming from the oven, from that meat that smells good. It's not just like pungent onion or whatever. I'm smelling caramelization. It doesn't need that long. That meat's very thin. It's at a high temperature. We're just gonna give it 10 minutes and then we're gonna twice cook it. We're gonna chop it up, then toss it together and then broil it. Recreate that vibe of the vertical spit it usually gets sliced off of. This has been about 15 minutes. Now before we deal with that, the best thing about this with French fries. Now I find a decent one, if you're gonna get them frozen and not make them, are these Ore-Ida. I'm just gonna use my toaster oven. Just get a thin little layer. You can also throw these in your oven for about 450 for about 10 minutes. Back to our meat. Hot, 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 hot. That's essentially what you get. Some are thin, nice and moist. Now all we have to do to that, get them onto a cutting board, and then just like we were shaving it off the spit, we're just gonna slice it. While it doesn't smell quite exactly the same, I am getting aroma memories. There was a special smell in this place. I'll never forget it. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna turn the broiler on. I got some amazing product right here, beef tallow spray, right? So it's gonna aerosol it, then we're gonna pop it under the broiler and try and achieve that vertical spit char around like just one side. We don't need to go crazy tossing it around. And if you notice, I'm putting it on the top rack. I wanna cook it fast and hard. Now it's nice and browned, beautiful. Meat's ready to go. We're gonna allow our pizza stone to get up to about 550. A little bit of oil again. And then we're gonna get our piece of bread. I get oil all over it. And then I'm gonna oil my rolling pin. And then I'm just gonna roll it out as big as I can. Now we're gonna take this, and we're just gonna transfer it onto our pizza steel. I'm just gonna measure the temp, 540 in the center. I'm gonna pull her out, place it, allow that steam to release the paper. Wait like 30 seconds for those bubbles to start to form. Wait for it to release, flip. Now that's perfect. Now we got our bread, our meat, our fries, our beautiful, like, look at them. They're like pickled onions now. They're good on their own. First up, I'm gonna go with white sauce. Then we're gonna start to pile up our meat. Place those fries in there, some of our tomatoes, and our onions. More white sauce. A little red sauce. Now that's the setup, right? We're gonna slide that onto some aluminum foil. Pull it back and I'm gonna roll it into a burrito. I mean, look at that. What are we even talking about here? That is more or less what I was served in Florence. One of my favorite things in the world. Let's see how we did. Nostalgia is hitting hard right now. First off, the white sauce is bonkers. The hot sauce brings like a flavorful heat, something balanced. Once it's in there, it's a lot milder than where it is just tasting it out of the bottle. And wild gyro meat or kebab meat, whatever, is always better freshly sliced off a vertical spit. This is an amazing way to get that flavor at home, especially because to find a place that can do this even remotely close to what you want, nearly impossible these days. Sure, it's rooted from a viral recipe, but maybe not not all viral recipes are that bad. Head on down in the description, check out my Patreon. We're doing a cooking school over there with live streams, homework, interaction. It's fun over there. Anyway, that's all that I have today. I'll see you next time. Until then, take care of yourself and go feed yourself.